All right, we have Anthony Forlini with us, and he is running for Secretary of State. Anthony, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you
And
for having me.
yeah, we appreciate you filling out the Secretary of State questionnaire and interviewing with us. We're going to get those all published here shortly and get those
Good.
out to all the delegates across the state. And we're looking forward to, informing the delegates and seeing kind of where this goes by March timeframe. And with that being said, could you just introduce yourself to us and tell us how the Secretary of State race is going so far?
Well, again, my name is Anthony Forlini. I'm the Macomb County Clerk currently, the clerk of the third largest county in the state of Michigan. We have, being a county clerk is really the basis, I think, of being a Secretary of State. I think part of the problem of the current Secretary of State is she didn't have the experience of running elections. She didn't have really the experience of running much of anything. And I think that's important because this is an office that's going to require leadership. It's going to require a lot of really love and care because it hasn't had that. And when I came into the Macomb County Clerk's office, anyone can Google it. What it was like before was really it was an atrocity of what was going on. It was the armpit of the county, as many of my employees said when I got there. And so we turned it from that to an award-winning clerk's office. We won. There were only one in the state of Michigan that won a national award, but we're the only one in the country to have won two. I'm very proud of that. It's on operational efficiency and the ideas of bringing new ideas to the forefront. And so that is what we're about. And I think we can take some of those same concepts to the Secretary of State's office. I shouldn't say I think, I know we can, and bring some of those things. That's the only reason I'm in this race is we've done it here, third largest county in the state. I want to bring that to the state because it doesn't do the state any good if Macomb County is an island doing these things that we will probably talk about if the rest of the state doesn't follow suit. So that's why I'm in it.
All right.
Thanks, Anthony. So I'm going to kick us off tonight. If you win the nomination by the delegates on March 28th, what does the race look like against your Democrat opponents or even the independents who might want to put their hat in the race between March 28th and November?
Well, like anything else, it's going to be a tough race. I'm not afraid of that. As a matter of fact, I've won 3 races. I'm the only one in this race that has beaten, I think I'm the only one in the state of Michigan that's beaten 3 incumbent Democrats. As a township supervisor, as a state representative, I beat an incumbent Democrat. And then the third time, I beat an incumbent Democrat to win the county clerk race. And it wasn't easy because each of those seats were blue, right? I mean, the state rep seat was a 48% Republican district. By the time I got out, it was a 52% Republican district. Same thing with the county. It was I won by 1,500 votes. The last year I won by 80,000. So transitioning, but it's hard work. And doing that upfront work and working across the state is going to be a very difficult job for any of us that get into this. And I believe that I've got that work ethic. I know I've got that work ethic of doing the blocking and tackling. I've always been outspent in the races I ran to beat the incumbents. But I won because I was out there communicating with people in real time with real solutions and being honest. And I think that's what people are looking for, some authenticity of their elected officials. There's plenty of rhetoric out there, what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. And I promise you this. I always keep on my wall the promises I made to the people that I promised during my election. My campaign pieces were always on my wall. And I'd always look at that and says, did I do the things I said I was going to do? And I think that's the message I'm going to bring from now through the end of the year, through November, of the things that I have done in the past and the things I'm promising for the future. And we're going to bring real results, not just rhetoric. So I think that's what I bring. And face it, when I got in this race, the Democrats weren't talking about the Republicans until I got in the race. One of the opponents started raising money because I got in the race, and they call me a real threat. I guess I am. So I know that there's a big target on my back because I'm probably the biggest name in this race.
On the flip side, if you don't get that nomination, what happens then? What's the next step for you?
Well, let me see. I live on the lake. I've never owned a boat. Maybe I'll enjoy the summer. What does it look like? I am the county clerk of Macomb. I still have a county to run. I got election integrity that we need to continue working on at the county level. And whoever wins, I'm going to work with them to try to bring those reforms we had in Macomb County to the state level.
Awesome. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Anthony. So getting into some specific kind of issues-based questions, MCL 168509R speaks to the maintenance of the qualified voter file, or the QVF, as a shared responsibility between the SOS and local clerks. So will your SOS office give local clerks the capability to directly update the voter file? And what other steps would your SOS office take to ensure the voter file is current and accurate?
Well, first off, it's a mess. The record keeping has been horrible. Jocelyn Benson brought all these names in when she took office during COVID and reactivated people that the previous Secretary of State took off. I will tell you what I've done as the county clerk, and this is, we just did it. Nobody asked us to, but we thought it was important. I asked my election guy, how many people do we have over the age of 100? Well, it turns out on our records, we had 600 people over the age of 100. Now, we have 850,000 people in the county. It doesn't sound unreasonable, right? I says, but let's humor me. Let's start looking at each and every one of them. And it was a tedious task. Probably took a couple months. And we found that 300 of the 600 were no longer with us. I use that term. My wife doesn't like it when I said they're dead, but they're no longer with us.
Right.
And we found gravestones, and we found obituaries, and so we got it out to the local clerks to get all these people removed. Now, we're going to keep an eye on it, and we're going to come back to this, and we're going to make sure that they were removed. We're going to make sure they remain removed, and think about how easy it is. As a Secretary of State, I think it would be it's so difficult to get people off, even though that person was 125 years old, so difficult to prove to get them off because of the barriers she put in place. But when you think about it, you can register on election day. That person that's 125 years old, we truly could add them back on election day if somebody made that mistake. I think we have to be much more diligent with that database. And I can only think of a couple of reasons why you'd want to keep these people on, and it's none of them are good.
Right.
That's good. So in the event of a disputed election, we never have any of those, right? All our elections are great.
And as Republicans, we argue this, but I'm going to tell you the Democrats will argue the same thing on years that they feel cheated, right? Yeah. This is a bipartisan issue.
It is. So in the event of a disputed election or widespread allegations of irregularities, like we saw in 2020, how would you ensure a transparent certification process? And can you detail your approach collaborating with the local clerks, the handling legal challenges, communicating with the public to maintain trust?
Well, we have that obligation to begin with. Now, in 2020, I was elected the county clerk of Macomb. I beat an incumbent Democrat in 2020. All the controversy that ensued after that and into well into 2021, up until today, actually, was concerning. And so, there was a lot of people coming to Macomb saying, hey, we want a forensic audit. We want, and of course, people wanted something much larger than I was able to provide. But I looked at what I could provide as the county clerk. And what I could provide is to take an audit of our election servers and take a hard look at what was going on in those servers. Were the modems hacked? How were the modems operating? I was the first clerk to shut off the modems because I didn't like the way they operated. and the state ended up complying with the rest of most of the tabulators across the state to undo the modems. And I can go into more detail how that worked and why I did it. But the important thing is we did this to look at inside what we were doing, and that wasn't the most important thing. Ben Cotton, who you might know, did an interview with a reporter and says, Tony Forlini is 10 years ahead of the curve with what he's doing. And I appreciated that. We brought him in to take a look at what was happening when we were doing things. But here's the important thing. Since then, the things we've done, the tabulators themselves, we turned them into something different, where before they would just count the score, but we didn't know how they counted the score. We didn't know how each ballot was tabulated. Now we put it together so when you put the ballot in, it records the ballot and it gives you how it scored that ballot. And I retain those images, and you can compare it against the tape that comes off of the tabulator. And in doing so, we added a level of transparency that was never there before. That was a great movement in the right direction, so we can tell that tabulator, let's say somebody did program it wrong and things were done improperly, it would show on the PDF that here's what that person put in the tabulator, but it scored it wrong. That's called transparency. That's what I believe in. We also have had our local clerks. We do hash validations on our things, meaning what hash validation means is our election server, we know when it was programmed and when the election comes, did anything happen in between? Was there any changes that happened? If there was, it would show. So we do that, and we did that. We trained all the clerks across the county on how to do hash validations because we want to make sure there's no foreign interference. Foreign could be overseas, and foreign could be in your own office. We watermark paper. We have watermark ballots in our county. I thought that was important. That's a great step. I think there's probably even more we can do with that. There's some other ideas. I believe that if we look at the whole process from beginning to end, we need to make sure that the public understands the transparency that we've done and the steps we've taken. They can ensure that their ballot counted, their vote counted, and nobody else's ballot came in to count against them. It's a challenge, but I think that's why I won by so many votes in Macomb the last election, was because people believe in what I was doing and how I was doing it, and they knew my heart was in the right place. And I mean, there was on election night, because there's no more modem transmissions, I was getting in police cars, going out to local precincts or to the local clerks and collecting the sticks and bringing them in, because I wanted to get those results in early. It was that extra effort, that extra thing. As a matter of fact, I think it was CNN carried a little story on the fact that I was actually going around doing these things. But it's important, working a little harder, doing it a little better, coming up with better solutions. We're a long way from having great elections, but I can tell you from 2020 till today, we got better elections. We got better results because we're doing it a little bit better and trying to bring more and more transparency. But unfortunately, what we do in Macomb stops in Macomb. Mm-hmm. We got to bring it to that level and take it across the state. One thing that I notice is we're doing going around auditing the local clerks right now. They give us a random amount of clerks to go look at. But who's never audited? County clerks. And I'm not saying to do it in a way that's intimidating. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is maybe there's ideas that county clerks are missing. As a matter of fact, in Macomb County, the clerk before me and the clerks before me never collected the tabulator sticks. They depended solely on the transmission, the modem transmissions. I couldn't believe it when I got in office. I couldn't believe that was happening. But they didn't know any better, or at least nobody told them, right? So going around, I think if the Secretary of State were to go around and I hate to use the word audit because it has a negative connotation, but go around and maybe audit and give recommendations, suggestions, or outright mandates that things have to change. You have to do things a little better, whether it's chain of custody or how you handle the tabulator sticks, so that the public is happy, the public knows that there's a set of eyes that are looking for good election integrity. That's what I'm about.
Yeah, quick follow up on that. You mentioned saving the ballot images. Who has access to those?
Anybody
down the line? Public, even the public.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So with the disclaimer, okay.
All right.
There's because of early voting and whatnot, there's going to be some ballot styles, I'll call them, that have very small turnout. And it could be a school district that goes a little bit into another community, and there's just a handful of people that vote. In those situations, we're blocking out those images. And the reason being is the confidentiality of your ballot is probably the most important thing, right? We got to make sure. So it's a small number, but overall, you can FOIA our entire county. I'm not sure what the cost is. $20 maybe. I don't know. And you can FOIA every image in the county because we've made it easy. We're about to roll out something that's going to be the first in the state, and we're going to be putting them up online. So you'll be able to go to our website and look at the images. If you want to look at precinct 1 in your area, you want to see what those ballots look like and how they were scored. I don't believe the vote was the way it was, but you go right through it and you can see. And that's I think that's maximum transparency that I'm trying to bring forward. And right now we're somewhat handicapped because of Secretary of State law rules and the reporting, how we do reporting. And I'm going to end that because I think we really need to get into letting the public see everything. And I know there's some social media posts that have been out there that, because I can't give everything. And so we do what we can, and I try to be as transparent as possible. And I'm very proud of the record, and it's not over. We have more to do. Did I answer your question? That was kind of long. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it did.
Yeah.
I think we can ask one more here. Proof of citizenship. So we know we've got the Citizens Only Vote ballot initiative, but if that doesn't go through, is there a mechanism from a Secretary of State perspective to mandate proof of citizenship, in federal, local, state elections, or do you need to work hand in hand with the legislature? How would you approach that?
This is it's a topic that's very serious, and I'm going to be coming out with something in the next few days. I can't really talk about it right now, which is unfortunate. I wish this was a few days later. But what I'm about to roll out is going to be unbelievable as far as citizens or non-citizens having the ability to vote and the flaw in the system. I'm working through it right now. So there's so much I want to talk about on this, but I'm going to be careful. So I believe it's dicey because Republicans are not going to like this, but there should be a database nationally of who's a citizen. It should be so simple to be able to type in, is this person a citizen or not? And the problem is when you get your driver's license, we're self-reporting. Yes, I'm a citizen, right?
Right.
Is it that simple? It never should be. There needs to be a check. So when you put these things in, we should be able to check to say, is this person a citizen or is this person not a citizen? It shouldn't be automatic. And that's going to be something that needs to change. And I believe it really should start at the federal level. There should be a federal database. I can't even believe there's not of being able to look at that. So absolutely. Listen, I'm the son of an immigrant. My dad is the first one to tell you that I won't use the words he uses, but when he sees this illegal stuff or these people coming across the border and what he had to do to become a citizen when he came from Italy, he's so proud of being American. It was the American troops that made him an American when they were there during World War II. And there's not a prouder American out there than there is in my dad. Mm-hmm. I think that's rubbed off on me, and I want to be able to protect his legacy and that for my kids and grandkids.
Yeah, great. All right. Well, with that being said, Anthony, thank you so much for joining us, and appreciate having you tonight. And in closing, can you tell the delegates what makes you the best Republican candidate for Secretary of State and to earn their vote on March 28th?
Well, we're very fortunate. We got a great field of people. And I'll tell you that what differentiates me from the others, I've won my race. I had 270,000 votes in Macomb County, the largest red county now in the state. It wasn't red when I first came in office, but it is now. And it's because of the good work we do. I know how to win elections, and this is going to be an election we need to win. I believe the state is a center-right state. I believe that I can communicate those values across the state as I have in Macomb. And there's people, I tell you, there's a few people on the other side that are a bit disenchanted with how their party is acting. And so much so, there's another person I understand getting into our race on the other side because they realize the trouble that I believe that they're in. So I bring a large constituency that we can bring to the state level, and that's going to be important. I mean, my votes altogether are a substantial amount of what needs to be won at the state. So if there's delegates out there, please consider that, because I am a seasoned, does that mean I'm old? Professional that knows how to do these things, knows how to get things done. I've run large organizations, and that's not just rhetoric, it's reality. And I've won national awards for what we've done. And we've taken a group that was a bit in shattered, I mean, really in trouble, to a pristine, proud group of people. And the people in the Secretary of State's office, after we get in there, are going to be a proud group of people that are going to work very efficiently, very friendly. We're going to provide a better service. We're going to reduce wait times like we did in the county clerk's office. We went from weeks of wait to no wait. As a matter of fact, our average wait time is under 4 minutes. And by the time you get to the counter and leave, it's under 10 minutes. That was unheard of before, but it is now. It takes good people and leadership.
All right. Well, thank you, Anthony. Appreciate you joining us tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys putting this on. It's very important.